All right. So I was talking to somebody over the weekend, and they were telling me that there's just so much difference of opinion online as far as in the healthcare space. They didn't know what to do, and it was kind of funny because a lot of times when people say stuff like that, then you start seeing it. I saw a guy who come on, and he was telling everybody that high protein diets were gonna that are really, really, really bad for your liver and for your kidneys and stuff like that, which I've never seen. The medical guys will tell you that's bad for your kidneys because they're afraid of high protein function in the bloodstream, but that's not a thing. It's not normally a thing. You can take care of the kidney on a high protein diet. We do it all the time. There's lots of guys who are doing great on carnivore. Um, and then the same guy said the collagen is the worst thing you can consume, even though there's all the research out that says collagen is great. And then Dr. Pompa, who's normally a pretty solid guy, is partnering with a guy who I don't remember his name. He's tall, really lean, thin mustache, and this guy's saying that he can fix type 2 diabetes regardless of DNA, which is interesting because that means that it works the exact same way with every single person with everything, which the only thing I know that's even close to that is what we do with frequency work to break allergies. Um, okay, maybe he knows something on that one. Then he says that it doesn't matter if you eat the oils you eat, sorry, the fats and the sugars you eat. So apparently in this system, he's telling everybody that you can have high fructose corn syrup and all the seed oils and all those massively inflammatory chemicals, and that's fine. That doesn't matter. You can still do that and break type 2 diabetes. And he's also telling people that you don't have to exercise at all, which is interesting because normally, like I said, Dr. Pomp is a pretty solid guy. But to make the statements, which is okay, like maybe he has a way that I don't know about, but I've always had to reduce all the inflammation, reset the chemistry for the mitochondrial function, and then reset. That'll help reset hormone function. So, biochemically, I don't get what any of these guys are saying. I mean, collagen's really important. A lot of people can run a high protein or only meat diet. We've seen lots of success with that, lots and lots of benefit with that. Um, and making people healthy and getting rid of type 2 diabetes in every single person the exact same way, regardless of DNA, without changing diet, eliminating the things that are causing chronic inflammation and things like that. Again, yeah, I get it. I totally understand when people are like, I'm confused. And then there's reports coming out that a lot of these influencers are being paid to promote things like vegetable oils and things like that. So the space is definitely I'm assuming getting tainted by I don't know where the dollars are coming from. If they're pharmaceutical, if they're uh, you know industrial food, I don't know. So yeah, there's a lot of arguments and a lot of back and forth. So where I stand on it is I'm just a big chemistry guy. So can you make a vegan or a Mediterranean or a keto or a carnivore or a high protein diet chemically healthy? Yeah. The thing that makes in the Mediterranean diet and the paleo diet, the thing that makes all those diets healthy from a chemistry standpoint is they're low glycemic. And all of the ones I just mentioned are basically processed food free. So the way that I look at the stuff is how was your body designed to function? And then how do we get back to that original design? And the original design had no processing. It had had none of that stuff. It was, what was left on the earth. So your meats, your vegetables, your above ground vegetables are pretty solid. And the thing is that once you get your chemistry kind of back together, you can have potatoes and sweet potatoes and things like that. Like the stuff that people, like even I'll try to be like, let's hold up on the potatoes and sweet potatoes while we're breaking your diabetes. Then we can reintroduce them to the body. Those are fine. In fact, French fries aren't that terribly bad for you if they're from clean potatoes that don't have a bunch of chemical junk in them and they're fried in tallow. They're not the worst thing in the world. So a lot of people could be eating them. So these things that when we get into it and some of this stuff sounds a little silly, the way that I kind of guard myself on this stuff is just that. Now the problem is that not everybody never really spent 10 years reading chemistry, reading metabolic pathways and stuff like that. So I don't know. Telling people, well, listen to me, not to them, is kind of seems very self-serving. But I don't know. It's one of those things where whenever somebody tells you that there's no work involved and it's going to be super easy and you'll get all the things you want, usually that's suspect. When someone says, we can get rid of your type 2 diabetes, we can make you healthy, it doesn't matter what your DNA is, doesn't matter what your diet is, doesn't matter if you exercise or not. That's a very interesting, bold statement. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying I know everything. That's a very, very interesting, bold statement. So I guess we'll see as their program rolls out if it's real. The way that we've always broken diabetes is we remove the chronic inflammation. The chronic inflammation is keeping your insulin levels high. So when we do our kill and refill, that's a big part of it, as we detox the body, flush out all these things, and then reset the level. Then the diet comes in, we decrease the glycemic function, so it decreases the insulin produced. So we get chronic inflammation to calm down, and then we get through diet the amount of insulin produced to calm down. Those two things, usually we get it knocked out pretty quick. Pretty quick is relative, 2 to 4 months, 2 to 5 months, depending on how hard people are pushing and how bad their stuff was when they came in. That's what we've done. And the guys who get it done quicker, who get it done quicker, are the ones who change their diet, detox properly, exercise, get the sleep in. Those are the guys that we see. Those are the people that we see getting a lot better, a lot faster. The guys who, don't really do the diet as well, they don't really supplement as well, they don't really exercise as well. We see those taking a lot longer if they get through it at all. And that's the hardest part, is that, a lot of this has to do with work. A lot of your health, just like everything important in life, has to do with how much you're willing to work and how hard you're willing to sacrifice. So I would be very, very weary of any influencer coming out and saying that, your DNA doesn't matter, your diet doesn't matter, your exercise levels don't matter. I'd be very, very, very hesitant to put a lot of faith in that. That's what the medical industry has been telling us for a long time. It's like, oh, don't worry about diet, don't worry about exercise. Those things don't really work. Buy our pills and you'll be fine. And that is shown to be 100% wrong. So, it's one of those things that's kind of where I sound like a lot of this stuff people just kind of generally know. Like, I feel better when I eat real food. Some people don't get they don't understand how to make all the foods. And so they're like, it's a real limited diet that's, not processed, and I feel bad for those people, because, man, there's so much great stuff out there that you can eat doesn't have a bunch of, trash in it. You got to make some of this stuff. You can buy some of it, you got to make some of it. But again, that's the effort that gets put into it. But yeah, a lot of the health stuff, we all kind of know. It's like, I know I should exercise, and I know I should sleep right, and I know I should drink a little bit more water, and I know I should probably take some supplements, and I know I shouldn't eat so many processed foods. Yeah, like these are kind of these easy things to kind of go through, and you're like, okay, well, my body was designed to be on this planet and eat the foods that are on this planet, and so I should probably look at doing that more. It wasn't designed to be forced to take pharmaceuticals that take, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment to produce. That's not how I was designed. If you look at hydrogenated oils and high fructose corn syrup and, all the things that we've now learning that are bad, it takes a giant amount of processing to create these things. At the end of the day, it ends up being a cheaper additive, and they're highly addictive. And so people will consume them more. And a lot of this stuff they hit the brain really hard. Lots of dopamine gets released. And so you're like, oh my gosh, this food's amazing. It's so great. Which is why when you go from these highly processed, high chemical based foods to normal foods or healthy foods, people are like, these are a little bland. I don't really have a lot of taste in them. That then those people who stay on the normal healthy diet, after a while, they'll try to go back to eating the other foods, and they're like, oh my God, it was so salty, or it was like so sweet. It was like, I just couldn't do it. And that's kind of one of those things that we start to see. But, if you're starting to look at it and be like, I don't know, if you're looking for a base, like, how do I distinguish between everything else? just go with your gut on it and be like, the way that I always look at things that grounds me is it's okay. Go back to original design. Like if it was just me on the earth with this stuff, one, would it exist? Like would the breads exist? Would the Monster energy drinks exist? Like would these things exist? Do I find them in the woods? Do I find them, out in nature? You can find meat, you can find, some of the vegetables, you can find some of the nuts, you can find like berries, those you can find. Like you're like, yeah, that grows on the earth. Somewhere on the earth, pineapples exist. Somewhere on the earth, strawberries exist. And there's animals all over the place. There's meat everywhere. So like that type of an idea has always been where I kind of go back to. Because if we were designed to live on this earth and get the nutrients from this earth, including obviously the sunlight that changes everything, because everything really is a quantum function. We're all just light and we're just bringing light in and out. And that's a totally different conversation. But that's kind of where I draw this from. There's going to be some other things that are in there. This is where I go back to, methylene blue, for example. Lots of people are saying it's the greatest thing in the world. And I'm not arguing that there's people who would benefit, but it is an artificial dye made from petroleum. And I'm sure it's beneficial to some people, but I don't think everybody everywhere should be taking it just because it's the new health fad. It's funny because people are going to be like, well, what do you think about NAD? It's like, well, NAD and NADH or NAD plus, it's NAD plus and NADH is the same thing. That's part of the Krebs cycle. That's how your body produces ATP. So when they're like, NAD is great for energy, they're 100% right. Yes, that is definitely a part of the Krebs cycle. If you look up the citric acid cycle, the TCA cycle, or the Krebs cycle, like it's a bunch of chemistry. So, just FYI. But you'll see NADH in there, you'll see NAD in there, you'll see CoQ10 in there. You'll see the electron chain transport system that requires, ion conversion, ion distribution. So you're going to see those things. And so, yeah, like that stuff's fantastic. Does everybody need it? No. Is it the limiting reagent that most people need? No. Is it important for the Krebs cycle? Absolutely. Yeah. Would people be benefit? Would more people be benefited by it than would be harmed by taking it? Absolutely. Like if you take extra NAD or extra CoQ10, it's not going to be a poison. It's like taking too many B vitamins. There's not really a B vitamin toxicity as long as that B vitamin fits what you need to do. So like for instance, if you're a normal person, for instance, methylated folic acid is great for you. Methylated B12 or methylcobalamin is great. People with COMT issues, which is not a giant segment of the population, they need hydroxycobalamin or adenocobalamin. So, people have a little bit different needs, but a lot of the chemistry stuff that people are talking about, as long as it's part of a natural, normal pathway, is beneficial. Getting extra B vitamins in, getting the right methylation function in, those are all fantastic. That's all great. Things that bring in more oxygen, fantastic. Things that bring like D levels up where they're supposed to be, iodine levels up where they're supposed to be. Iodine's a big one. What we've noticed from COVID, we kept having women come in who are losing their hair, and I'll talk about this tomorrow. And we couldn't figure it out because a lot of these women were on iodine. And then I found out that COVID's blocking the iodine receptors on the thyroid, and that's why normal levels of iodine and without doing detoxification processes, women are losing their hair. So we're going to talk about this tomorrow. So if you're one of those women who are losing your hair, or you have a friend who's losing their hair and they can't figure it out, have them watch tomorrow's, share that one tomorrow, and we'll go through it. But I get the frustration with everything that's out. One of the things that I do think is possible, I'm not saying this is happening, I do think it's possible, is that a lot of these influencers aren't driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis and living in big houses, they're scraping by. And so what ends up happening is, if someone comes along and goes, hey, we'll give you X amount of dollars for X amount of years or X amount of months if you'll push this narrative, if you'll talk about that vegetable oil is actually good for you in certain reasons, or, if you do these things, you don't have to do those things, driving that narrative, I do think that that's the thing that's going to happen. And apparently it is happening because we're starting to see reports of it. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't know how to tell you guys who to listen to, who not to. But the way that, like I said, the way I base it is, does this make sense from a creation standpoint? Does this make sense from a, if you were on the planet and all you could eat were things that were made on the planet, would the thing that they're talking about exist? So, but if you guys have any other questions, we'll get this set up. Yeah, if you guys are trying to repost this stuff, it should be on Facebook, it should be on Instagram, it should be on LinkedIn, it should be on my YouTube. YouTube's gonna be a little bit sketchy. YouTube and Google don't like me because I posted how to fix Kelly, this is for you. I posted how to fix COVID back in 2020, and it smoked my social media and smoked Google. And which is why, if you guys notice, we went from chalmerswellness.com to pillarsofwellness.com because my old website was marked as medical misinformation and was taken off of Google's listings. So yeah, so getting the information that I'm giving out is apparently against the narrative. So I've been told by YouTube that we're going to be banned and deleted the account about 16 times from the actual emails from them. Yeah, and I've had lots of videos taken off that I've talked about things like, you know, how to fix COVID or how to fix diabetes or how to fix, you know, dementia, and things like that. So yeah, it's been fun. But yeah, so that's yeah, I feel your pain. I'm sorry that you guys are getting this where, but that's where it is. But yeah, all the videos that we've got should be on Instagram and Facebook and that type of stuff, and on X. Like the easiest place to find my stuff is on X because it's all under Dr. Chalmers 1, because X doesn't censor or delete things that they find that go against the CDC and the FDA. You want to talk about the major owners? The reason I keep telling you the medical system is out to get you guys is because the CDC, part of the medical system, is working with the social media groups to ban information. Mark Zuckerberg came out and admitted that the Biden administration forced him to, you know, do all sorts of censorship during COVID and all sorts of stuff like that. He talked about it on Joe Rogan's show. So yeah, the medical system is 100% out to keep you as sick as possible for as long as possible. So you guys got to find the guys that you trust to work with. Tell your friends if you guys find people that you trust. Tell me if you guys find people you trust. It'd be nice to know. But you know, if you guys have any questions, hit up questions@chalmerswellness.com or drop a DM and that's the thing. Talk to you guys later. Have a fantastic day.